G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game, spawning in on the east side of the map, playing as the Chinese in the colour purple. It is below room temp IQ. What a bloody good name that is. That's actually Don Artie, for anybody wondering. Don Artie, not known for his intellect, and as a result, names himself appropriately to below room temp IQ. That's a good name, isn't it, honestly? If you have to go with a name like it's not just room temp IQ, it's below room temp IQ. So I don't know about you guys at the moment. I think my room temp is probably around 22, 23 degrees Celsius, somewhere around that. So look, Don's doing it tough over there on the on the east side of the map. On the west side of the map, though, in the color green, playing as the English, we've got Galg Tunold. Now, I don't know who Galg Tunold is. It's a bit of a hard name to pronounce. So I'm just going to be going with Galg. I think that's probably best. But I know he's Conqueror too, so he's quite a good player. Obviously not at the same level that Marine Lord or Beastie are going to be, but I mean, to be fair, there's not many people at that level. So yeah, it's another casted game, but we're not doing the top tiers. But speaking of top tiers, now if you were interested in watching some Marine Lord or some Beastie, have I got good news for you tonight? Well, I say tonight, but look, when this video goes live in about 2 hours after that, EGC TV, their Golden League, we're up to round 2 now, so I reckon you come along, come say g'day. I'll leave a link in the description to where you can watch that stuff, because that is happening, and it's going to be happening all night. So from the time that this video gets posted, about 2 hours after it, and then for like another 8 or 9 hours afterwards. So if you're coming along to say g'day, make sure, or if you're interested in saying g'day, come on, do it. I'm not going to be casting tonight. I'll be casting tomorrow, but I think they've still got some pretty good casters on. I think it's like Killer Pigeon and Lidicor. It's top tier, let's just put it that way. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about what we've got going on, because Don Artie's going with a classic Chinese opening. I like this opening. Goes with a village. Really interesting village position. Normally when I used to play the Chinese, I would love to go with a Barbican on my gold, especially when my gold was at the front here. Against the English, it's a little bit harder to do, just simply because your Barbican, you can put like your Barbican here, but then you're kind of exposed on the north to a potential longbow. And then if you put your Barbican on this little spot, let me rotate it. I'm feeling a little bit like shy right now. For anybody wondering, that's one of the guys that I do coaching with, and he rotates his map like this, and he plays. I'm not even kidding you. If this was shy right now, he'd be like playing like this. He'd be like, okay, Drongo, what do I do now? But yeah, the Barbican, typically you'd expect it to be like that, and then it kind of leaves this spot here open. So it's one of those things where it's good to have the Barbican, but at the same time it can be really tough trying to work it out. But I'm curious to see exactly what Don looks to go for, because he's not normally known as a Chinese player. In fact, back when China was overpowered, I remember before they nerfed Song Dynasty, I remember Don messaging me being like, Drongo, I got no idea how to deal with this civilization. It's absolutely busted. It's stupid. It's broken. I don't know why people play it. It's unfair. And now how the turns have tabled. Hey, Don, look at this. Well, I guess they've been nerfed a little bit. But Don's found out a pretty good horde of sheep so far. We can see he's got his first and second sheep here, and he's got another 6 sheep still alive. And we hear that scout to the north collecting sheep. So he's going to be really happy with this. If you can make it to 10 minutes and still be on sheep as the Chinese, you're going to have a really good time. And scout was coming in, running at a pretty decent angle there. But did manage to make it away. We do see the Imperial Academy coming down. So it looks like Don... Now, this is kind of like interesting base building, or at least the way I feel about it. So if I'm Don, obviously the mill, probably not on the berries, because the idea is that you're not going to be on berries for at least 10 minutes. So the mill goes next to the town center, and then you can put that Imperial Academy right here, and then you can put your mill or your lumber camp right there, and then that way you get all 3 of these buildings. Not that it's a big deal. I mean, it's one of those small things, right? But like... It's a basic thing. Anyway, over on the other side of the map, though, Galg is going absolutely all out here. Take a look at this. 5 villagers going to be looking to put down that landmark. He does pull a couple off, though, decides against it. We see he's already added in 5 farms early on in this game. We're barely 4 minutes into this game. He's picked up the wheelbarrow, so he's investing heavily into his economy, about as heavily as you could invest on one base as the English. So far from what I've seen from Galg, I would expect that he's going for a fast castle. This is a bit more of like the older style fast castles. In fact, I remember watching... So for anybody who doesn't know, GUA used to be a balance tester for Age of Empires 4 back when it was in like, not even alpha or beta, like development, right? And I remember watching GUA play. I'm like, all right, I'm going to harvest this guy's strategies and find what he's got. This is one of the strategies he used to do. So basically, he would go for these early farms, get the wheelbarrow, and then just like 1 or 2 villages on the landmark, and then he would be going fast castle behind it. and look to drop down that King's Palace and go immediately into Knights. And that was a very dominant strategy. Obviously something that had worked quite well in development, and it continued to impress upon the on the meta after release. But obviously Springalds came and all of that good stuff, but it's still a really solid build order. It's something that's definitely used a lot less. I think that aggression for the English is really nice early on, or if you don't want to go aggression, just going for huge amounts of town centers. As I've said many a time before, you can just go like 3 town centers with the English and laugh at your enemy if they try and deal with you, especially with a spawn like this, right? Like you put a town center on this stone, you put a town center over on the gold, you're having a great time, especially against the Chinese, right? Like, what are you going to do over here? You're going to make town centers? Ha! Good luck, mate. Good luck. And especially, you know, if this does get late game, I'd say you probably got the advantage if you're playing the English. If it's an even, if you've got an even battle of skill, the English should come out on top most of the time. But remember, games aren't always an even battle of skill. So the Song Dynasty's come through now for Don. Let's take a little bit of a look and see what his plans are as he begins adding in walls around the south side of his base. He's got a beautiful spawn here with the gold on the backside, second gold on the backside, and 1, 2, 3 berry patches all in the back. This is great because it means that you can drop down a granary, and that granary is going to be doubled up here for picking up the berry bushes, and also he can throw farms down around it, and it's a really good spot, right? Like if your berry bushes are out here on the front, like let's say if this is Don's berry bush, you don't want to throw a granary out here because then you can't put farms around it because it's out in the middle of no man's land. So you want to avoid doing that. But here where you've got these nice little safe little pockets, this is just perfect. Really, really nice. So the Barbican did come up on the gold as well, as we expected. And the upgrades are starting to come through for Don. Looking to pick up Wheelbarrow, looking to pick up his Imperial Examinations. And the first of the longbows are making their way out onto the field. At the same time, we can see that Galg is going for that fast castle. He's starting to stack up resources, and the couple of longbows just coming out. And this is one thing to note. You've always got to be careful playing up against the English because you never really know what you're up against until the units are on your doorstep. And that's really what I think Don's got to be careful of here, because Don might be expecting... I mean, when we take a look at from Don's perspective, when was the last time he had any intel about his enemy? Obviously, he knows the age up was a little bit late, but realistically, he doesn't have a whole lot of information about what the enemy's doing. So these longbows that are coming out, these could be a stream of longbows as long as the... As long as the Wall of China, the Great Wall of China, you know, it could be a really, really long stream of longbows. There could be spears coming up the rear with it. Or it could just be 2 longbows, which is the case right here. It's just 2 longbows, and he manages to shut down this wall. But obviously, it's not that big of a deal at this point because Don's going to be going for Castle Age as well. So both players are going to be looking to play one base Castle Age. Now, expect to see the Council Hall, not the Council Hall, rather the King's Palace thrown down any second right here from Galg. There she is. So King's Palace going to be going down. Nice little spot that he's got there for him. Honestly, I probably would have preferred it here on the wood line, but it's still a pretty decent spot, right? Like, you want to keep it all condensed, keep it nice and safe. That's a really important part. And now a mill getting thrown up here. I'm selecting the outpost, but it says it's a mill. Maybe I'm... Okay, there we go. That was a bit interesting. Now I'm selecting the mill. Okay, there we go. I don't know what that was all about. That was an interesting bug. Tell you what, this Age of Empires 4 has still got some pretty interesting bugs. That is for sure. So Age Up going to be coming through. You would expect that from Don, it is most likely going to be the Astronomical Clock Tower. But let's see exactly what he does. And he's still on sheep, by the way, at 8 minutes with a heavy focus. 17 fills on sheep here. So this is like really just coming back to the fact that you don't need to throw this mill down on berries, right? Like you've got 8.5 minutes of food non-stop coming in. You can afford 50 wood over here on the town center. It means that you maximize the effectiveness of your Imperial Academy. And now you've got to go take wood under the safe part of your town center, but it's not going to be covered by the Imperial Academy. So, of course, the clock tower is going to be going down. He's rushing this bad boy up. Doesn't look like at this point he's got the resources to throw down any sort of nest of bee defense. But, I mean, to be honest, there's not really a lot of threat right here. On the other side of the map, though, oh, there we go. Galg has dropped down double stable. So this is like the classic GUA build order right now that Don Artie's going up against. And I think the question is, like, for Don, how do you play into this? I feel like Palace Guards... spears and nest of bees is probably the best thing that you could do in this position. But you have to be very careful with your balance. The key factor here is the nest of bees and making sure that you can obtain critical mass, because you want to try and get to 3 to 4 nest of bees, but then you've got to deal with things like Springalds. And then you can start adding in more and more nest of bees, and it gets to the point where you actually have so many bees you can fight the Springles with your nest of bees. That's always fun. I expect to see monasteries thrown down very, very soon if they haven't already been thrown down. There's the monastery on the backside. So now we do have that monk just in queue, only for a couple of seconds. I don't think Don's really the kind of guy to go for a monastery. Let's have a look and see if we can spot one. Doesn't look like it. Stable is down. He's going to be supervising that as well. We can see the double Imperial official here. So villagers do make it inside the outpost. No Imperial official out there. We can see the first of the Lancers does come out. So Don going to be... There's the monastery. So Don actually going to be messing with my mind right now and throwing down a monastery. Bit of a counter monastery here. So I do think that's a smart move, especially because he's playing one base China and wants to deny these relics here off the English player. 2 charges against 1. Don not going to be happy with that, but he does look to try and throw down here on his enemy. Now, one of the things I will say as I switch this over from villagers to income is if you're interested in not just seeing top level players, but also people with below room temp IQs playing on the ladder, I would encourage you guys to check out Don Artie's YouTube. So Don Artie has been working hard on his YouTube recently, so I would recommend go over, check him out. I'm going to leave a link in the description to where you could watch it. He's got a lot of great videos on there where he actually explains through his thinking when he's playing. So it's first person. So, you know, I used to do videos like that, but obviously Don, his brain power's not quite there. So it's a little bit of like a comedy mixed with with entertainment, with a little bit of education in there, I guess you could say. Don's obviously a very good player. You guys know I am joking. He's one of my really good friends as well. So I will just provide that caveat to it. But yeah, go check him out. As I said, I'll leave a link in the description. And he goes through all of his games, including this one. He's actually talked about this game, all of his other games, talks about his mindset, talks about what he's going to be doing and how he's going to be playing it. But it's definitely struggling at the moment, trying to pick up this food from this northern hunt, and just keeps getting piled on by the knights here. Not really able to keep up with his enemy despite the double stable. Scout on the backside. He's going to spot all these villagers here on the gold, and also sees the outpost getting thrown down. So he knows his enemy is serious about defending this gold, because that's definitely going to be a key target. If Don can even get a single knight over here, he could delay a lot of knight production. And the only reason he can't do that at the moment is because of the Lancers having to defend his own villagers against the knight. But now pushing out on the map despite being outnumbered. Don very, very bold, and now going to be taking a bit of a tough fight. So the first of the relics is inside safely in the monastery. The question is, where does he go from here? There's 3 more relics on the map. That's going to be all the contested relics. He doesn't actually have the number. What was that villager doing? Get back to where you came from, my friend. He gets he quite literally goes back to where he came from, into the ground. Barbican going to be helping out here. Lance is up against Knights. No upgrades on either of these. And beautiful micro coming through from Don. Look at Don pulling back the low health Lancers. Manages to keep them alive and does the great defense. Taking out 3 Knights there. Managing to keep all of his Lancers alive. Very bold play from Don. Beautiful work there. What he can look to do from here is actually heal up some of these Lancers with his monks, and that's what he's going to be looking to do now. Bringing that monk over. He's actually going to be trying to pick up a relic, I suspect, yeah, on the north side. But at the same time, he's still going to be defending, and you can just see the way that this is playing at the moment. Now, a lot of people might be looking at this and being thinking, okay, but Drongo, why aren't either of these guys going for spears? Like, why isn't Don going for spears? Well, you got to remember, with spears, you're a lot less mobile than you are with knights. So let's say you get spears. Let's say you get 5 spears out, right? And the knights come here and you're like, haha, I can defend this position. Yeah, you can defend this position. But how do you defend this position? And now your spears have got to run over here, and now you're outnumbered on the knight. So you can't play knight against knight anymore because you're outnumbered in that front. So your enemy just comes over here, brings their knights there, and now your villagers are going to have to retreat on that front. They move down to the gold. They move all over the shop. And that's why you don't see people making spears often at these high level, at these high levels, just because the spears, while they're very good at forcing fights, they're not very good when you're on the defensive like this, unless you've got enough to defend on those specific spots. And now Don having a little bit of a tough fight here. The first of the crossbowmen is going to be coming out, but slowly and steadily making its way through. But the numbers here from Galg just going to be superior. Villagers were making their way up towards this location. There's 13 vills here, and this could be a little bit of a gold mine coming in for Galg right now as he looks to try and find any villager available. 3 taken out so far this game. And Don on the defensive. Veterancy coming through for his longbowman. Also looking to pick up fitted leatherwork. A little bit of armor here, and Galg definitely in a solid position, despite the fact he is on 2 TCs. Keep that in mind. He is scaling into this late game. 61 villagers up against 55. The 2 TC up against 1, but remember there's Song Dynasty in play here as well. The 2 landmarks going to be reducing the time it takes to train a villager here from 20 seconds down to 15 seconds. So that's very nice. And now those crossbows going to be trying to stay alive there, but unfortunately tanking up quite a bit of the charge on the front side. Still moving back now. When it comes to crossbows, crossbow knight will beat mass knights on one condition. You need to have enough crossbows to one-shot the knight. That is the key difference here. So 10 crossbows to one-shot a men-at-arms, to one-shot a knight. You probably need a bit more than that. Maybe somewhere around the region of 16, 17, somewhere around that. Obviously, upgrades not yet considered. But somewhere around that number. So Don sitting on 4 crossbows. That ain't going to be it, Chief. At least not at this point. And now, on the backside, Don has gone for a pretty big transition. I'm loving the way that he's taking all of the different resources available to him. The problem that you have when you do this is that you're only supervising the 1 mil. So I know it seems silly, but in a perfect world, you would have every single one of these villagers on this berry patch, collecting these berries, exhaust it, and then move on to the next patch like that. That way you can bring the supervisor with it, and then that way you're getting 20% extra food from these drop-offs and 20% extra from this one. Because at the moment, you're not. Obviously, like, Don's going to move these vills over, and then he'll get the 20% drop-off when he moves the Imperial Official, but there's still a little bit of resources there that you are missing out on. So, up towards the north, Relic did come through. Don going to be picking it up. That's Relic number 3. So 2 versus 3 on the Relics. So Gaug definitely going to be at a disadvantage there. The one thing to note, he is on 2 TCs against the 1, and now the crossbow numbers are starting to improve. He's up to 10 crossbows here, and you can see that Gaug is going to have to retreat on that. He knows it. Now, going up against Longbow Knight. Now, in even numbers, the Longbow Knight will lose to the Crossbow Knight. Crossbow Knight is just superior, as long as the Knights just look to focus down. The Archers here and the Crossbows just look to focus down the Knights. Beautiful job by Don. He comes in. He's going to be making sure he's trying his best to clean up these low-health Knights. You can see them getting off some pretty decent shots here. Longbows being pretty efficient here, but the Crossbows, that's what's going to matter. Unfortunately, the Knight advantage that Gaug held from the earlier fights means that Don is having a bit of an uphill battle here. Only 3 crossbows remaining as 3 more look to join in on the party. A lot of low health Knights here. Going to be repaired up undoubtedly when Gaug does move back. Question's going to be whether Don is able to hold on a little bit longer. Remember though, the thing is, even if Don holds on, I feel like he doesn't have a lot going for him. And I think this is what makes it so hard, this matchup, is, yeah, sure, you're on 1 base. Yeah, sure, you made Knights up against the English player. Yeah, you've denied 3 relics. Good job. But he's on 2 TCs. He's scaling. He's having an absolute blast of a game. The longer this game goes on, the better it gets for English. So I think for Don, this is where it's like, you know, I'd love to hear his thoughts about this, because I haven't watched this game on his channel. I don't know the outcome of it. But when I messaged Don, he said, if you want to cast a game, Drongo, cast this game. This is definitely the best game. So I'm looking forward to seeing why Don thinks this game is going to be such a banger. I mean, we're 17 minutes through, and I reckon it's been some pretty hot action so far. They're now adding in granaries. Nice little granary cluster he's got on the backside. We don't see any more. I do like the way he's base building though. Oh, Don, look at this. Hold on a minute. As he's built that in a tile too close. It's all right, Don. I'll forgive you. It's good to see Don practicing best base building practices though. First of the sacred sites now starting to take in. Let's tune in with Gaug and see how he's doing, as his economy is starting to take off. He's up to 12, 13, 1,400 food a minute right now, adding in more farms, and we do see verticulture, aka fertilization, coming through right now for him. So that's going to be the tier 2 farming upgrade. How many farms are we talking right now? He's on 23 farms. I'm liking this a lot. This is really nice expansion coming through from him. And yeah, 82 up against the 69 vill, so a slight villager lead. Keep in mind that villager lead's not that big, right? Like, it's not going to be that noticeable. But obviously, it's better to have than not to have. But yeah, 12, 13 villager difference. It's not huge at this point. I'm curious to see whether Gaug adds a 3rd TC. I'm kind of surprised that he didn't, because he definitely had the window to do it after he took that really good fight with the Knights. And then that kind of secures his late game. And then that really only leaves him open to a sort of mid-game timing with Crossbow Knight. I'm loving the outpost coming up here from Gaug as well. So that's going to be the 2nd front outpost, or 3rd forward outpost rather. This one is obviously up. It's just a little bit quiet. And I'm loving the way that he's slowly building. Take a look at this. Slowly building all of this line of sight around the enemy base. And there's the Knights finally making their way through. Now, remember what we talked about earlier about, like, well, why don't you make Spearmen to defend, or Spearmen in this fight? Well, you can, but, I mean, you can see the trouble that the Knights are having. So you can imagine the trouble that the Spears will be having. And he's just going to be looking to try and clear up villages. Knights managing to repel this. And now Sacred Site number 2 is captured. The 3rd Sacred Site on the south side remains open. Oh, poor Don. Did you see that? I don't know if you guys saw that. The Wolf pulled the Lancer off the Sacred Site. Now Don is going to be looking to neutralize it, but there's plenty of units here. Archers yet to pick up their +2 upgrades. Lumber Preservation going to be coming in for Galg, and he's getting plenty of upgrades here. At the same time, over on Don's side, he's also not neglecting his upgrades. He's already picked up Fertilization, Horticulture, obviously. Got his Wheelbarrow nice and early. He's got the double Broadaxe through. No mining upgrade, so that's one thing to note. And only the Tier 1 woodcutting upgrade so far. Spots out the Siege Workshop. Could be a bit of an indication that maybe a Mangonel could be coming into play soon for Galg. Could be something to look out for Don. Obviously, Don's going to have an appropriate response in Springolds, but he does also look to go into his own nest of bees. Beautiful chase down coming through from Galg here. He's doing a really decent job. Just making sure Don is kept on his toes. And I'm loving these walls from Galg, starting to build that onion, exactly what you want to see. Ideally, I would have loved to have seen a bit more of an onion earlier on, but it's a still good onion. This is still good onion. I can feel Tony Abbott getting happy about this one. For anybody who doesn't know what it is I'm talking about, just Google Tony Abbott onion and you will be disgusted. You'll either be disgusted or impressed, and that's not a good thing. But Springald number 1 does come out for Galg. He's going to be anticipating the nest of bee from Don. And now we've got ourselves a little bit of a fight beginning to build here. Don Artie on the defensive. He's down 20 military population, and he's going to be heading back towards his base, the safety of his base. Take a look at the knight numbers here. 27 knights for Galg against the 15 knights of Don. And now it looks like the longbows have just kind of been left to die. At the same time, a counterattack towards the south. A keep is going to be going up. There are villagers that could be pulled to try and get this up a little bit faster, but the crossbows together with the knights going to be coming back to look to defend it instead of pulling more vills to get that keep up sooner. And we hear the nest of bees firing off, taking off a beautiful volley, hitting the center of mass on all of those longbows, and at the same time, a little bit of a counterattack is going to get caught. So many units back here for Galg. This is just a crazy English economy that we're talking about. It's wild to me that he's only up 10 villagers, yet it feels like he's up 50. It is crazy the amount of units he's got out here. 6 more knights in queue. And look at the resources he's got. He could cancel these knights and go imp. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he does. And this is the kind of game, right, where your Chinese enemy is on one base. You don't really need to go into Wingard. You can 100% go Berkshire here. Go for a sacred victory. It is 100% on the cards. Simply because your Chinese enemy... Actually, second TC did come down. Don, when did you add this second TC? That is going to be an interesting question. I mean, he's on 91 vills at the moment. Worker kills, 12 for English, so I'm going to estimate he probably added this about 60 to 90 seconds ago. It's only been up for a short time, but there's a chance he gets back into the game with this, and all of a sudden the decision to go Wingard becomes a little bit more questionable. But yeah, I think Berkshire could definitely be really strong here, especially putting it in your opponent's face, coming right up to the front like, you know, a Berkshire right here. It's a little bit dangerous though. Obviously, you've got the clock tower to deal with, but that's definitely one route you can go. There's so much that you can challenge in here, just with that Berkshire. Obviously, you're going to be able to follow that up with a lot of trebuchets, and just the mass that you've got in general is just so nice. On the south side, though, Sacred Site number 3 does get taken, and that is going to be triggering up our Sacred Victory. As we mentioned earlier, Don Artie going to be trying his best to keep his head above water this game, that is for sure. The crossbow number's starting to look a little bit thicker. He's up to 25 crossbows, more than enough to one-shot a Lancer, a Knight, irrespective of the armor that they've got. And now Gal's going to be looking to cover. We see the outpost. He's going to become the primary focus here. Let's see how he responds with his units. Defend all sacred sites. That is the new objective. It pops up in the center of the screen and lets you know that, that's your job. Sacred Victory is approaching. 10 minutes to go. And Don's army just kind of chilling for the moment. He is outnumbered by an absolute mile. 35 knights compared to 19. And this is what win the game. Remember that. Knights are going to be the game-winning unit here. It's not going to be the crossbows, and Don Artie says, let's take this fight. Galg looks to get in on the action as well. It's going to be knights up against lancers, crossbows on the back, trying to support. And look at the nest of bees. It's hitting the wrong target. The Springald's able to take it out. More reinforcements coming down, and Don Artie getting absolutely swooped in this fight. So many knights on this front line. He tries his best to bring more lancers to the front to try and offer a bit of a meat shield, but now it's going to be the crossbows that are getting caught out of position. He needs to get these knights up the front, needs to get the crossbows in the back so he can start slowly but steadily taking away these enemy knights, making his way back towards the wall. The keep is here to offer a little bit of defense, and now those knights are going to be able to come in. Don's micro has been solid, it's been on point, and now the knight's actually going to be running past, heading straight towards the enemy longbows, and says, you know what, we're just going to take you by the horns. The only problem is, you know, I would have loved to have seen a nest of bees right now coming up and pulling this, but Don Artie manages to actually go pretty even in this fight. I mean, obviously, he still doesn't come out on top, but it looked a lot worse than what it probably could have gone, or what it probably should have gone. So maybe Galg just not coming in with the micro. Don obviously doing a really nice job there, but I tell you what, Galg, his micro might not be on point, but his outposts absolutely are. Look at the surround he's got now on his enemy base. Forward keep coming in, plenty of resources in this spot. 7 knights in the queue. He's having a great game. He is having an absolute blast of a game here. And that onion, we talked about that onion. Make Tony Abbott proud. There's a little bit of an opening right here. That's probably something that you want to fix, Galg. I'm not sure why that is. I thought he actually walled that. Maybe he cancelled it. I remember seeing a wall there. Not seeing a wall there, but seeing a palisade blueprint there. Maybe I'm just going crazy, though. Never mind. 8 minutes until Sacred Victory. That's what Don is going to be looking to find a timing for. Now, Don Artie, I'm just going to provide a little bit of insight here. I can already see what Don's plan is. When you see this many horsemen in queue, you know what Don Artie's up to. Don Artie likes to play an interesting style. Don is very all or nothing, and he's quite happy to play a style that is, how do you say? He's a gambler, all right? For anybody who doesn't know, Don Artie's actually a poker professional. He has won hundreds of thousands of dollars playing poker professionally. You can look him up, Don Artie. You can see his cute little photo on the PokerStars website or whatever it is. I don't actually know, by the way. I'm just memeing Don. I know he plays poker. He actually tells me, he's like, can you please not talk about the poker thing? It's like, sorry, bro. Yeah, it's... I shouldn't have. We did see Berkshire coming up on the north side. I'd go much more aggressive. I'd be putting it like right here. That's where that's what I'm talking about. You want to get it in there, right? Like, you want your Berkshire up in the enemy face, because 39 vills. He wants to get this one up. That is for sure. That is a lot of vills, but I respect that. Does Don see this? Don doesn't see this. So what's Don doing, you might be wondering? Well, 31 horsemen. Let's just put it that way. Horsemen have got the same siege as knights. So I'll let you do the math on what Don's plans are now. He could be moving into Fire Lancers, and it's kind of curious that he hasn't moved into Fire Lancers, because Fire Lancers are a little bit more expensive. I say a little bit. I mean, it's 20 more food, 20 more gold. So yeah, it's a little bit more expensive. And I'm pretty sure they have double the amount of siege damage. So I'd be going into those instead. I think Don's going for a landmark snipe, though. And when you look at the base at the moment of Galg, he's not very well insulated from this, right? All 3 landmarks close together. Don scouted this. We saw his knights run through a little bit earlier, so he's going to know where they all are. The only landmark that's going to be the threat is this Berkshire. And he's going to know about the Berkshire now, because obviously it's killing his villagers. Look at the Berkshire, dude. The Berkshire is killing his villagers on his starting wood line. I love this landmark, man. This is such a great landmark. This is truly the Giga Chad landmark. I mean, you see all these English players coming out and they're like, yeah, I'm going to make the wind guard. This is it. This is it, folks, right here. You want to be a Giga Chad, this is the landmark that you make. So the question for me is, like, how does Don kill this, though? Because the Berkshire it's such a strong landmark. It's got that extra range. He could look to Treb it down. Honestly, Trebs, he wouldn't be... Oh, he's going for Trebs, actually. So he's going for Trebs followed up with some Rams. So I'd be tempted to be like, okay, Don, just make, like, maybe 2 Trebs, 3 Trebs, and then start working it down. But the thing is, you need to have all 4 landmarks down at this point to win the game. And that's definitely what Don is going for, because he can take all of this cavalry and go and kill these 3 landmarks. But it doesn't matter, because as long as Galg is smart enough to keep his army protecting his Berkshire, as long as he's got villagers to repair the Berkshire, he's going to be fine. And he's got heaps of wood stacked up, which means that, you know, there's just going to be repairs for days, basically. But the first of the Trebs is out. Don Artie at the moment sitting at 190 population. And look at this, a couple scouting knights. These guys aren't looking to kill units. He's looking to try and see what units... Or he's not looking to kill vills. He's looking to see what type of units you're making. Sees the veteran horseman. That might tip him off. Let's see exactly what he does. And now going to be coming around. Might be looking to try and just grab a couple of units where possible. And the triple Treb out here. I mean, just look at the coverage right now that Galga's got. There's nothing that you're really escaping from up here. Yeah, there's no way you're keeping this stuff hidden. I mean, Don's done a pretty decent job of keeping it hidden, though. We got to be honest with that. Look at the stables as well. So many stables. How many are we talking? 13 stables. I just don't know. I wonder why Don didn't go into Imperial Palace and just start making some Fire Lancers, though. Fire Lancers definitely seem like the right choice here. 69 Lancers? Is that right? 69 Lancers? Holy shit. That's a lot of Lancers. Now we're going to start thinking about Don's landmarks. Hold on a minute. One, the town center, the Imperial Academy, Astronomical Clock Tower. He could just make the landmark in the back of the base. Keep that in mind. So he can always look to make another one. And Lancer's going to be moving out. He heads up towards the north. You know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for us to get in the cinematic mode. It's time to watch as Don Artie makes his way towards the north side of the map. All of the cavalry headed up there. Another keep going to be thrown down on the front side. Let's just quickly check. How many vills are we talking here? 130 vills. He had 63. Don's only on 63 vills. Did he delete villagers? Oh, Don deleted villagers. Oh, Don deleted a huge amount of villagers. Oh, Don is so all in right now. Don looking to do a bit of a loop around. The question's going to be whether he decides to come in on this landmark early or whether he goes in on it late. He can try and take it out now, but villagers will get pulled and he may lose a significant portion of his units. He continues making his way across the map. He knows that there's a hole down here, I suspect. Yeah, he will know because his units are pathing towards that position, but he's going to go through the palisade. The palisade's going to be more than easy to get through. Breaks it down very, very quickly. So many units here, just engulfing the enemy. And now the question is, what is Gal going to be doing? And it looks like he's going after the landmarks. We can see he's working towards that main town center. It's gone. The next landmark that's coming up, it's going to be that Imperial Palace or Imperial Academy. And at the same time, Don now going to start working down landmarks. Council Hall number 1 going to be going down. We do see the town center. It's right next to the King's Palace. So these two landmarks are going to be going down shortly. And then the question's going to be whether Don pulls all of his units and decides to go for the kill. There it is. Look at Don. He's going right now. He realizes he has to. I feel like this is a bit of a mistake from Don. Honestly, should be waiting until all of his cavalry is ready to go, because now it means all of his units are just going to get cleaned up. He's got the battering ram also looking to come in. Remember that behind this, he's got the cavalry on the other side of the map. He's managed to clean up two of the landmarks. 3 landmarks going to get taken out. Now all of a sudden, I realize why it is Don said, if you want to cast one game, Drongo, cast this one. Villagers going to be coming in. A little bit of repairs going to be. Let's double check the wood status. What are we at right now? 3,000 wood for Galg. He's going to be able to hold for a long time with this. You've got to start focusing down villagers. But look at all of the units just getting killed. A giant clump of purple here. The only hope Don Artie has right now is Obi-Wan. I mean, it's all of this cavalry right here. This is the only hope he's gotten. Throwing down. Why are you throwing down town centers? I've got no idea. That is strange. And look at the cavalry. Oh my lord, Don Artie is going for it right now. The one thing that could save Galg at this point is going to be villagers looking to repair. You can see that the only problem he's going to have is not enough villagers to surround to keep the repair going. And Don trying his best to take it down. It looks like he's going to be able to do it here. Don sieging slowly. I wish he'd had fire lancers right now. It would have been dead already. Slowly but steadily it goes down. Are there more villagers? There's more villagers on the south side. But still, the Giga Chad Palace is alive. And soon it will be burning. There's the burning. It's coming through. Don Artie trying to take it down. But it looks like I don't think he's going to be able to do it. There's too much wood in the bank and the units just keep taking it out. The Sacred Site timer is ticking and Don Artie's struggling to get it up. Once again, poor guy. You can't help but feel a little bit sad for the guy. Unfortunately, Don Artie with a below room temp IQ just didn't calculate the fact that Galg right now was going to be able to repair through this relentless assault, and down goes the last unit from Don Artie. Fellas, if you've enjoyed this game, make sure you go and check out Don Artie. He is an absolute spark in this community. I'll leave a link in the description to where you can watch his YouTube videos and you can see some commentary from his perspective on his own games. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.